Have you heard about the recent threat issued by the Houthi rebels of Yemen towards the United States? It's a situation that's been brewing in the backdrop of an already complex geopolitical landscape. To set the stage, the Houthi rebels, a group operating out of Yemen, have been in a state of conflict for years now. The United States, on the other hand, has had a significant role in the region, balancing delicate alliances and navigating intricate power dynamics. Recently, the Houthis have issued a threat to the US, a development that has caught the attention of international observers. So what does this threat mean? Let's delve into the details. The Houthi rebels have promised a special lesson to the US, but what does this imply? Well, let's dive in to uncover the meaning and potential implications of this ominous warning. The Houthi rebels, a Yemeni group backed by Iran, have been at odds with the US and its allies for some time now. This latest threat appears to be a direct response to perceived US interference in Yemen's ongoing conflict. It's no secret that the US has been involved in the region, supporting Saudi Arabia and its coalition against the Houthis. This special lesson could be a warning of retaliatory action against the US or its interests in the region. But the threat doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's part of a larger picture, a complex web of regional conflicts and power dynamics. Iran, a staunch supporter of the Houthi rebels, is locked in a bitter rivalry with Saudi Arabia, and by extension its ally, the US. This rivalry has many facets, from the struggle for regional dominance to the controversial nuclear issue. The threat could also be seen as a tool to rally support within the Houthi ranks, casting the US as a common enemy. The narrative of resistance against foreign interference has been a powerful motivator in the region, often used to consolidate power and justify actions. Moreover, the threat underscores the risks of misinformation and its potential to escalate conflicts. As we've seen with the incident involving the Canadian Prime Minister, false reports can fuel tensions and lead to unintended consequences. So what does this mean for the US? It means staying vigilant and prepared for potential retaliatory actions. It means navigating the tricky waters of Middle Eastern politics, balancing the need to support allies with the desire to avoid being drawn deeper into the conflict. This threat is not an isolated event, rather it's a part of a larger ongoing conflict. To fully understand this threat, we need to look at the larger picture, the conflict in Yemen. Yemen, a country in the Middle East, has been embroiled in a devastating conflict for over a decade. The main parties involved are the Yemeni government, backed by a Saudi-led coalition, and the Houthi rebels, a group that has received support from Iran. The US, on the other hand, has been involved in various capacities, primarily providing support to the Saudi-led coalition. The conflict originated from domestic unrest but escalated dramatically due to international involvement. It's a classic case of a local dispute turning into a proxy war, wherein regional and global powers use it as a battleground to further their own interests. In this case, the interests mainly revolve around control and influence in the Middle East. As the years have passed, the situation has only worsened. The United Nations has labeled the Yemen conflict as the world's worst humanitarian crisis, with millions of people in dire need of aid. It's a tragic situation that seems to have no end in sight. Moreover, the conflict has also become a breeding ground for extremist groups, further complicating the matter. The threat we're discussing today is a part of this complex web of issues. The Houthi rebels, feeling the pressure of the international community, particularly the US, have turned to more aggressive tactics, hence the threat. The Yemen conflict is a complex issue with many different factors at play. With this threat, the situation in Yemen and the region might take a new turn. The stakes are high, and the implications are far-reaching. The threat issued by the Houthis is not just a challenge to the US, but it also adds a new layer of complexity to the already tangled web of conflicts in the region. A possible retaliation from the US could escalate the conflict in Yemen, a nation already grappling with a devastating humanitarian crisis. The US's response could also set a precedent for how it intends to deal with threats from non-state actors in the future. At the same time, the threat could further strain US's relations with its allies in the region, particularly Saudi Arabia and Israel. It could also force these nations to rethink their strategies and alliances, potentially leading to a shift in the balance of power in the Middle East. The threat also raises a crucial question: how will Iran react? Iran's response could be a key determinant of the course of the conflict in Yemen and the broader region. If Iran chooses to back the Houthis, it could lead to a direct confrontation with the US and its allies. Conversely, if Iran distances itself from the Houthis, it could alter the dynamics of the conflict in Yemen and even open up possibilities for negotiations. But let's not forget, the people of Yemen are at the heart of this conflict. The potential escalation of violence threatens to worsen the humanitarian crisis in the country. The international community must therefore act swiftly and decisively to prevent further suffering. As we move forward, it's crucial to keep a close eye on the developments in Yemen and its implications on the global stage.